All right, y'all. This is Henos' Sport, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping the foot on the what? On the next. We keeping the foot on the what? On the next. Got my boy Jacob Lonewolf in the building. The other cast, they going to come through. Jacob Lonewolf, talk to them, man. Let's get the salutations out the way, brother.
Yeah, man. It's your boy Jacob Lonewolf. Thank you. Henos for inviting me. Once again, to this live stream. A lot of things have happened. Over the past couple of weeks. Obviously, in the NBA world and in particular in life. Particularly here in Melbourne. We're in lockdown again. We have a 6-week lockdown, and basically, if you've ever been to Australia, right? Melbourne is a city in Victoria. So I'm in the state of Victoria in Australia. So the borders have shut down. So other states have shut down the borders from us because, we have a lot of high cases in coronavirus. And also a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of the poor income people that live in Melbourne, that live in high-rise buildings, public buildings, they're trapped in that building. The government said that, no one is allowed to get out of those, apartment buildings because they said that so-called, they have a lot of coronavirus cases. So, a lot of people who are in those buildings, are just forced to stay there. So definitely, it's tough for a lot of people, around the world, and particularly here in Melbourne. But, I'm happy that, I'm in this live stream.
All right. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. That's good. Richy Rich, what's up, man?
What's up, man? What's up,
good.
Jacob?
Doing good.
Who knows?
Chilling, man. I'm in the building, man. So what's good with you?
Okay? How you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Been okay, man. Been all right, man. Yeah.
That's good.
Just came at the nick of time, man.
Okay, that's what's up, man. You came at the nick of time. So let's get on to it, man. All right, let's get the salutations out the way. Richy Rich, talk to them, man.
Yeah. How you guys doing? Shout outs to HeKnows, shout outs to Jacob. Shout outs to all you guys coming in through the chat. We got a really good show for you today. We're going to be discussing the topic of the NBA reopening. Certain teams have been shutting down. The virus has been spreading around. Adam Silver, he's trying to figure out, what he's going to be doing. If this is going to work, we're going to be discussing those topics to see if it's right for them to continue this reopening or not. We got some interesting stuff for you guys. Hopefully you guys tune in and hear what we got to say, because we got some heat and some fire ready for you guys today.
Okay, that's what's up, man. So let's get on to it, man. First video, man. We're going to chop it up. First topic. All right. Today is a coronavirus virus day today, man. We just got to get into it. We got to really delve into these topics so that people can understand how serious it is out here in these basketball streets, man. First topic. Adam Silver admits COVID-19 cases in NBA's bubble could shut down season again. All right. Jacob Lonewolf, we're going to let you start off with that topic, man. What's your take on Adam Silver coming out after he done announced that the NBA season is going to restart on July 30th, for him to retract and now say, well, based on the new bubble, based on the second phase, we don't know if we're going to continue on?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely, we spoke about this, the last couple of weeks, that the NBA, that they made a mistake, reopening the season in July 30th, and we saw this coming. I think with everyone, everyone wanted to see basketball. They were in a rush to see these players play. Particularly the mainstream media of ESPN and the owners. They wanted to resume the season. Obviously, with that, for the number one thing which is the bottom line. So it obviously had to do with dinero, money. So, Adam Silver, he's basically, he's a push around, he wanted to reopen the season because he heard from a lot of these owners that, that were potentially going to lose a lot of money due to the coronavirus. So he had to open up the season again so he could appease to the owners and he could make up for that TV deals with like ESPN and all of that, because they're going to lose a lot of money on that. So basically, the television deal is probably what's going to keep them alive. So I think that's the biggest motivation for them coming back. And also, if also with the NBA opening up, there's a lot of politics that are going on. There's a lot of things that we don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and act as if I know everything, because obviously there's a lot of billionaires in that league, and a lot of them have ties to Donald Trump. And you see with a lot of these big corporations, they're not getting affected. I think a lot of billionaires' net worth have gone up. A lot.
Fact.
It's not just billionaires. I remember the other day, I heard that everyone was going crazy over Kanye West saying that he was going to be president, and I saw like on the internet his net worth is like what, 1.3 billion. I'm like, how are these celebrities and owners getting rich during this coronavirus? There's a lot of things that they're privy to that we aren't. So a lot of people, a lot of these owners, net worth have gone up. But I think with the NBA, I think they're looking at other leagues around the world, and they're seeing how they've opened up. How they're trying to emulate those leagues. You can obviously see if you're a wrestling fan, you obviously see how WWE, they haven't shut down. Particularly in Orlando, I think like Florida is the epicenter where a lot of these sports leagues are opening up again for whatever reason, and a lot of the times, there's just a lot of political ties that allow these corporations to, be able to run their business through tough times like this. So with Adam Silver saying that the bubble, might stop the NBA season, I'm not surprised. If you knew what was going to happen, particularly with I think the climate, these couple of months, obviously in winter, they say that the coronavirus is at its height, particularly when it's cold, it's able to spread a lot, particularly here in Melbourne. And, with the bubble and stuff like that, they didn't take no precautions. There's no vaccines. The players are not in great shape. A lot of these players look like cavemen, like Jason Tatum. They haven't shaven, LeBron's going great. Like a lot of these players haven't, worked out a lot, that much, and you see more players coming out saying that they don't want to compete. You hear players say, what's the meaning of putting symbol, like you say, symbolism, tokenism on NBA jerseys when we're not even allowed to say which one we're allowed to have, and they're making money off these players back. They're making money off the Black Lives Matter movement, even though Black Lives Matter movement is bullshit. I'm talking about Black lives. I'm not talking about the movement. They're profiting off of Black Lives Matter. So they're profiting off of these players, which is modern day plantation. They're not able to say how they feel. And we also see with Dwight Howard coming back to the Lakers, I think there's more to that we don't know. And we actually, I think the league or LeBron, they must have convinced Dwight to come back. And we have to commend Kyrie for saying that he didn't want the league to start. It's a very brave move on his part, and I just think that the media is not covering certain things that we're privy to. They're not covering. They're not covering what's happening. Like why is Dwight Howard coming back? I think that's a sign that I think I need to look more deeply into. But I could obviously tell that there's a lot of under the desk agreements that's happening. There's obviously a lot of that that's going on. And it's tough, because like this is my theory. Like with this whole coronavirus, like things shouldn't open up this year at all. Like 2020 is a wrap. Maybe it might even go till the middle of next year, 2021. Because they say that they might not get a vaccine till 2022. I don't know. Like I've seen a lot of reports about it. So if Adam Silver wanted to take precautionary measures, why don't you just open the season in October? So that way the players have more time, and during, they have more time to, work out and get fit and all that, towards the end of the year. Maybe things can start getting easier then. But now during the middle of the year, come on, man. Like, why? Like a lot of these players are not gonna be in top form. A lot of them are sitting out. Like Bradley Beal is not performing in it. And you're gonna see a lot of sloppy play. A lot of new case. I think it was like 25. What is it, 25 out of 300 players got coronavirus? Like, what percentage is that? Like, how much? Like, that's like what? Like 10% or something? Like, even more than that, I think. Pretty much. But that's a high. Yeah.
Close to it.
Close to it. Okay. Yeah, that's a high percentage, and you're in Florida, right? So, like, definitely, I just think that, they knew what they were doing. They thought they could be slick about it because they saw other leagues that were able to do it. And, I don't even think that it's just 25. I think there's more. I think there's more there's more cases that they haven't said already, but they don't want to say it because it will definitely be a bad look on their part, and it will definitely be a high number. So when you see a lot of these big major corporations say, "Oh, it's this amount of number," I don't really believe that because I think there's more to that than they're actually saying. But that's just my opinion. But I just think that this, they knew what they were doing. It's not like they didn't know that a lot of players were going to get hit with coronavirus and all of that. They knew that, they thought they could be slick with it and, keep the numbers up. But obviously with this virus, it's just going everywhere, and there's new cases ramping up in Florida every single day. So, this was preconceived, it was planned, but, they thought they could be slick with it. But as more cases are gonna arise, and I think more players are gonna come out now, and this might even stop the NBA season. But with me knowing how a lot of these corporations work, I just think that the season's still gonna resume. I just feel like that. I just think that. So that's just my take.
All right, Richy, what's your take on it, man?
First off, shouts out to Lewis, Mr. Encyclopedia, man. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Shouts out to you, bro. You brought up some great points, Jacob Lonewolf, man. But I agree with what you were saying. Pretty much, it's all about the narrow, the money. They're heavily tied in with these networks, ESPN, TNT, and they have to fulfill these contracts, or they're gonna owe these networks $2 billion, 2-point-something billion dollars, $2.5 billion. So the NBA is gonna do whatever it takes to play these games, because they pretty much on the hook. They have to play these games. They have to play at least 70 games. They haven't reached that. They haven't reached that, and meaning that they have to play some of these postseason games as well too, or they're on the hook for that $2 billion that those networks paid over $10 billion for, I think, 7 to 10 years to televise the NBA on television. So it's all about the money. It's not, and if you had some of these players come out and say it, they've been real. Like Justice Winslow, who pretty much said that, man, it's all about if you went on his Twitter, he said it's all about the money. They don't really even care about our well-being. You have owners that are not even going to be in the bubble. They're gonna be somewhere secluded. They're gonna be in their own private home or something like that, and they're not gonna be amongst the players that they're paying to play the game of basketball, with all this going on with the COVID-19 and everything. So it's this thing is kind of fishy, man, when we all look into it. Adam Silver, he even has doubts, but he's trying to be as optimistic. He came out and he said yesterday that he's not 100% sure if this is going to work, but he's optimistic. They're gonna every day they're gonna try to find solutions to see how they can improve, like the environment that these players are gonna be in. But who knows what's gonna happen? Because you got elements to where you have the Disney workers that are gonna be going in and out of the bubble. if one of them goes home and they get the virus and they bring it in, remember this virus is airborne. All they got to do is cough in a room or sneeze in a room, and one of these players they come in. They're not going to be at in the building in the rooms at the same time of the players. But remember, the virus can stay on surfaces for a certain amount of hours. So all the players got to do is just go in and touch something, and they have to sanitize appropriately. They got to make sure everything is sanitized to the T, or somebody's going to catch something. You know what I'm saying? And it could easily happen with the rise in cases in Florida. You see it every day. Florida broke some records this past weekend, man. Over 11,000 new cases in the past week of people having COVID-19. More people been testing, and a lot more people been catching this thing. So it's not far-fetched to think that this virus is going to find its way to creep in that bubble. You got Brandon Ingram. I know you saw what he just said. He's not confident that the NBA is going to be able to conclude its season. He thinks that somehow the NBA is going to have to stop. Once again, because the virus is going to find a way to come in and affect some players. Joel Embiid, he said that he's not confident in the players around him, the players on the other teams, because these guys, they like to do their thing. They might bring in some girls, they might bring in certain people they shouldn't be trying to bring in, and one of these people might have the virus, and it's gonna spread, man. It's gonna be crazy, man. How these guys, because these guys are adults, these are grown ass men that we're talking about. For 3 months, these guys, you honestly, like I saw a video about He Knows. You posted a video this week where you were talking about these players being grown ass men, and these guys for 3 months, these guys being you honestly think these guys are gonna want to be policed around for 3 months, and certain people telling them what to do, they can't do this, they can't do that. These are grown men, man. If they want to have somebody come in the bubble, they're gonna make arrangements to have somebody come in the bubble to jack things up, man. So this is how this thing could get messed up, man. People got to look into this, man. This thing, they haven't come out with a vaccine or a cure yet. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the money, man. Things could get really, like I said, things could get really ugly, man. It's a very, there's a reason why these European sports have started their leagues, have been playing. It's because they were able to decrease their numbers, man, down to a level to where, people weren't having the virus like that. Over here, man, these cases are out of control. So we shouldn't be having sports right now. We shouldn't be having sports until things go down tremendously. Numbers go down, cases go down tremendously. Because right now, man, it's just this is not. They're saying this is not even the second wave. The second wave is supposed to come as soon as the fall comes. Once the weather starts getting colder, man, then this thing is going to get out of whack. You're going to see crazy numbers. But it's summer. It's hot. It's hot as hell right now. And these cases are rising, man. So, and they're in one of the worst spots to even have these games. So I don't know what Adam Silver is thinking, man. It has to be the money. But it's this might be something, man, that he ends up regretting, man, dearly, because he just wanted that. He just wanted to make sure these players, they fulfilled the contracts to the networks. Also, there's a reason why Kyrie Irving came out, and because you gotta understand, it was all the stars and NBA PA that made that decision on their behalf. Those players, those other 300 players, didn't make that decision to want to continue play. This is why you see guys bowing out now. It was pretty much the stars of the league, like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Chris Paul. It was like 7 stars. Russell Westbrook. These guys made that decision along with the NBA PA to resume play. They didn't talk with these other guys to see if they wanted to continue play. So I mean, if something goes haywire, man, those stars are gonna have to think about the decision they made within an NBA PA, man. Because this thing, man, has disaster written all over it. It's because this thing is not over with yet, man. We're just they don't even have a resolution yet. People they don't even have a vaccine. They don't have nothing yet. People are just getting the virus. People are dying day after day. It just boggles my mind why we still have a season going on until we can figure out this virus. Plus, you're looking at the consequences. Coaches are gonna have to sit out because they're too old. You got players that are already, opting out of this tournament. This championship is an asterisk, people. It's an asterisk. Who want no fans in the stadium? Who wants to participate in something like this, man? Come on now. This championship is a joke. I don't care who wins it. If it's the Clippers, the Lakers, the Bucks, they're gonna be the laughing stock. Nobody gonna take that champion serious, man. If I'm any of these teams that win that thing, man, I don't want to win it, man, because no one's gonna take me serious. This is not like '99 San Antonio Spurs. At least they got to play with fans in the stadium. They got to play their normal playoff structure. It seems like so many things are being twisted, turned. Like, come on, man. This is not a real NBA. This is not NBA we know. This is some force. Who wants to? I don't want to win that championship, man. Because I know they're going to be mocking me. They're going to be like, nah, bro. You played in that year where there was the COVID-19. That's not a real championship. These guys going to be getting critiqued like hell, man. I wouldn't want that championship. If I was any one of these players, I'm like, man, the hell with this season. I don't care, man. Let's just fast forward to next season and run this back. I'm done.
Whew. Lewis, man, before you get on, man, I see you hitting the gym, bro. I see you, man. But yeah, man, let's get on, man. First topic at hand, brother.
First of all, shout out to HeKnowsBasketball as always. Continue to bring that heat and that fire. Shout out to Jacob Lonewolf. I haven't seen you in a while, but it's good to see you again, my brother. I know you always, anytime you come on, you're always bringing that knowledge. Shout out to Richy Rich. I know you called me out because you haven't seen me in a while, but it's good to be here on the panel with you again. And a salute to the chat. Let's get right down to business, shall we? So when I was putting my face like this, I had to give that old Stephen A. Smith face. Not because you weren't spitting facts, Rich, because you were. But I gotta stop you on this LeBron thing right then and there when it comes to these star players. You know why? Here's why. Even if the season were to stop, you know who LeBron is gonna piggyback on anyway? Adam Silver. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two, you remember what I said a while ago. I said, if you guys remember, LeBron came out and said that he was never going to play in an NBA game if there was any fans. When he wasn't even the first one to say that. It was Victor Oladipo and James Harden. Then when he realized that he possibly might not win a fourth title, he came back out and said, not only in a tweet, not only on Instagram, but he came out to the media and said, oh, if I don't get to win a championship, I might not have any closure. Ding, that already told me right there that LeBron ain't about the people, he's about himself. Because if he really cared, and if he really cared about this, he would say to himself that, look, as much as I would love to win a championship, the human race is more important with the amount of cases, as you talked about, that have spiked up in Florida. Because before Florida, New York had the most cases out of any state here in America. And before that, we eclipsed China and we eclipsed Italy because those were the two countries in the eastern side of the world that had the most cases. Because what people need to also remember is a lot of people have been flying back and forth, which has caused the virus to increase. Now, what doesn't make any sense in Florida is that the governor and the mayors and the mayor, they keep opening things and being very premature about it. And then when they realize the cases go back up, they have to close things down again. And if you're Adam Silver in the NBA season, why is it that you're trying to make sure that these guys play to try to get a season in when there's a higher risk of these players getting the virus once again? Because Rudy Gobert came out and said that even though he's recovered from COVID-19, he is still feeling the after effects and he's having issues breathing, which tells me that your chances of getting this virus again are still exponentially high no matter what. And as you mentioned, Joel Embiid, I was wondering if he was going to mention him, but I'm glad that you mentioned it. He came out and said that he's not confident in the NBA season returning. People also remember that Brandon Ingram, he had a blood clot he had a blood clot, he had aneurysm in his shoulder. And if he is to go back, his chances of getting that are exponentially high, even the fact that if he's a young player. Like people have to understand, no matter how young or how old you are, if you have a previous condition, you have diabetes, if you have any type of respiratory issues, if you have any cardiovascular issues, once you get that virus, your chances of dying like go extreme. They go up. They shoot through the roof. And Adam Silver, like you was mentioning, Rich, he's trying to do too many things at once, acting like he's this great commissioner, but he's not really surveying stuff. See, if he really wants to really pay attention, what he should have done is push back the season at least to maybe like a September or an October. And then the following season started next year. That way, it gives the NBA ample amount of time to really see if this COVID is going to go down, and it gives them the proper time to plan. That's why I said I give Dana White a lot of credit, because his teams are always prepared for this kind of stuff, and that's why things are still able to go on. So that's why I give him a lot of credit for it. He's fully prepared. See, he's like, people can say what they want about Dana White, but it's kind of like he's a very good running operation of a government. At least he knows how to prepare for these kind of things when it comes to him in the sport of UFC. But in terms of the NBA, like, come on. Buddy Hield has got the virus, tested positive. You look at the Brooklyn Nets, they're free. Almost their entire roster isn't going to play due to COVID. And then you already include the fact that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are out with injury right now. That's on top of that. Taurean Prince just came out and said he's not participating. Bradley Beal and Bertans are not participating. Mm-hmm. The Eastern Conference in its playoffs, if you look at the Eastern Conference, the first round is usually always the weakest part when it comes to ratings in the first round with the Eastern Conference. The Western Conference is always making the higher ratings. So now you take away two teams, it's almost pretty much like 6 teams in the playoffs, because those 2 teams on the bottom, they really don't have any players. So now you're trying to bring some of these G League players to try to fill in. They only have 8 games. They only have 8 games to get acclimated. Plus, if you look at the Nets situation, they just got rid of Kenny Atkinson and Jacques Vaughn has to coach. So you have an interim head coach. You got a couple of players that you just added that have to all get acclimated. So this is all going to be new. So it really doesn't make any sense. The reason that Adam Silver, you know what Adam Silver's thinking, what I'm thinking right now? The Western Conference has always made the higher ratings when it comes to the last 20 years in the NBA playoffs, when it comes to that. So he's not really even concerned about the Eastern Conference, which just doesn't make any sense if you don't have a viable product. But you're going to try to send these players in the bubble. And like you mentioned, Rich, and think about this. This is why they were also thinking about a second wave. Could you imagine the amount of money that they have to spend in the facilities just to sanitize all this stuff?
Yep.
And then where are they going to get this? And this is another reason why they're continuing the season too. Because if you think all that money that is spent to sanitize the arenas is going to be the same money that they're going to have to recuperate and recover to re-sanitize that again when the players play. And again, are the players going to be wearing masks? Because they could talk about how they're going to quarantine and all this kind of stuff, but their chances go really high of getting the virus because they're doing physical contact. So you're really expecting to do social distancing in an NBA game, even if there's no fans. So that doesn't make sense. Then on top of that, you have to think about, are they going to wear masks, which affects breathing? Because remember that the COVID is about breathing because it attacks your lungs. So how's that going to work? And also the sweat factor has also got to come in too. So, and this is kind of the reason why Kyrie came out and said it, because there's, as I said before a couple of weeks ago on HeKnows, there's a conflict of interest. The stars, as you mentioned, Rich, came out and said that. They were the ones that said that they want to get this thing started because, what does it remind me of? When Donald Trump and Vince McMahon had their little battle of the billionaires, and Trump came out with that song. It's about the money. That's what it's all about. Like you mentioned, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. And Jacob was spitting some good points because he spit a good point himself. We don't know how long this thing is going to last, because if all these sports venues, if you look at the NHL, and for people who don't know, who don't really pay attention to it, they have over 40 cases of players with COVID, and they're trying to restart the season. MLB players, a good amount of players just came out. They have 38 cases themselves with COVID, and they're trying to restart the season. The only thing that you look at college football, there's a lot of teams right now that have a lot of cases of the coronavirus right now. The only thing that's on schedule right now is the NFL, and even some players already have the COVID. Some players already. So like Jacob said, this is probably going to extend even up to next year because they already came out and said, the NBA has already come out and said there's going to be no fans in the arena next year. There's going to be no fans in the arena next year. And the thing is, Adam Silver, along with the media, know how to brainwash casuals. And you know why? Because as long as they continue the season, what is everybody going to complain about? Oh, man, my life is in shambles right now because there's no sports. That just tells you that people can't function in life without sports. And I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. If you're not practicing and doing these other things that you're supposed to be taught and you're supposed to be taught in life and procedures that they've been trying to teach you and they've been trying to tell you, the problem is we got a lot of ignorant and naive people out here. They could care less about if they want to get sick as long as they get what they're supposed. And first of all, in their mind, it's what they need. But in actuality, it's what they want. And the thing is, they want to hear what they want. They don't want to hear what they need. What they need to do is make sure to practice social distancing, make sure they're staying safe, make sure that they're wearing their mask at a proper time because, like you mentioned, Rich, once it's cold, that's where the virus is going to be pretty much at its highest and it's going to be able to multiply because during the heat, it's going to calm down a bit. But that's not to say that the second wave is happening. And see, the media even lied about the second wave. It's just spiking up in Florida because people are traveling down there. So that's why the virus is continuing to spread. It's because people are traveling. It's not just the fact that this virus is quote unquote second wave. Like you mentioned, Rich, and I agree with you. The second wave hasn't even started. It hasn't even started. If they think that it started, wait till it hits late September when fall starts. Wait till it hits late October. Wait till we get into the winter months. So quite honestly, and I'm going to close with this last point, it's just not safe to do any sports, period. It's just not safe to do any sports, period. And when I hear all these players starting to come out and starting to say, it just basically tells me that the higher ups wanted to make sure that the ones that can't speak, make sure that they didn't have a say because they want this to happen. And what is it all about? It's to recuperate the money they lost. If I'm Adam Silver, bro, just take the hit. I don't care what the liberals in the media say, the Stephen A's, the Kendrick Perkins, they talking all this buck dancing shit. Why don't they come down and go into the bubble themselves since they want to talk in all that cap? See, because all they do is they sit on their seats, they're on their platform at ESPN, and they get to say all this like if they're saying anything credible. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yep.
If they're so concerned with the season starting, Stephen A even said, "Oh, I think the players should come to New York since it's much safer since the case is going down." What an idiot! They already talked about the second bubble possibly coming in Chicago, or being in Chicago, and that's not even a good idea. So Adam Silver, you acting like this great commissioner, and I told you before, I'm saying it right now. And on the Dwight Howard thing, in terms of Dwight Howard, the thing was he was in a lose-lose situation because everybody remembers what happened with him and Kobe. So there was a reason he had to come back because we could say he would sound like a hypocrite, but the thing is, it wouldn't matter. If he would have not played, Laker fans would have got on his ass because it's like, oh, you see what you did to Kobe, now you're doing it to LeBron too, you're not committed. If he comes back, they're going to say, oh, I thought you was in the fight with Kyrie talking about that some things are more important with the social justice and you just coming out and playing. Either way, Dwight was in a lose-lose situation regardless. So at the end of the day, that's all it is, man. And like I said, if I'm Adam Silver, if you're trying to save the season, push it back a couple of more months. Make sure to survey the field so that you can have an actual plan. If you see that you really can't do anything, because Adam Silver himself even came out and said that even though that he's trying to move forward, he's come out and said that he's kind of concerned that this season may start and he might have to shut things down. So Adam Silver, do your homework, bro. Do your homework before this gets very bad because it's going to be a bad look for the NBA. Real bad look. And just in any sports in general, man. That's all I got to say about it.
All right. So I'm going to segue into the second topic. So I'm going to just give my little take on it. Bottom line is this, man. I mean, we went from 16 players out of 351 populace up until 25 players and still counting out of 351. Still got Spencer Dinwiddie, who's having complications of the COVID. He hasn't been able to, rehab and bring himself back. And he wants to come out there on the basketball court and play. There's still Matthew Brogdon that's trying to come back and play. He's still having complications with the issue of COVID. The bottom line is the NBA needs to close the season down. I mean, this is what it boils down to. You jump to 9 cases, and not only did you jump to 9 cases, the 9 cases you jump to are complicated cases. And then on top of that, 3 NBA teams closed their facilities down. So we're going into the second topic. Jacob Lonewolf, what's your take, man? The Heat, the Bucks, and the Nets are the latest NBA teams to close down their facilities due to the COVID-19. How many more teams have to close down their facilities prior to July 30th? Because today is July 8th. They're supposed to be flying to get on a plane and head over to Orlando. Now, mind you, we're talking about 22 days from now. How many more teams, how many more players, how many more folks have to get affected before Adam Silver gets the red light and realize, okay, you know what, we need to close the season down?
Probably the other 19 other teams, you know. That's how much I feel. Maybe even, let's just say, if it came down to one team, the NBA would find a way, hey, let's just bring a MUP out there so then you can play with those objects, you know, in the NBA Finals. So why don't you go out there and play with the MUP? Play with some object, you know, and we'll still make money off you. So I think, like, it would have to be all the other teams, you know, just by looking at how they operate for the NBA to shut down. You know, I think even if they narrowed it down to like a few teams, I think they'll still, you know, continue the season, you know. Obviously, you mentioned the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. I haven't been to America, but I think, you know, particularly in the East Coast, you know, those type of areas in Brooklyn and Milwaukee, I think they're cold weathered cities. So definitely, you know, over there, I think, you know, the virus would have spread in Milwaukee and Brooklyn because, you know, obviously I think it's summer there, but I think obviously with the climate over there, the weather probably would have had a significant impact on a lot of players getting the virus, as well as them traveling a lot, you know. And obviously in New York, people travel there all the time, as well as Miami, you know, Florida as well, you know. And I just think that, you know, with these teams, like particularly with the Milwaukee Bucks, like if the Milwaukee Bucks are getting it, and you know they have the best record in the league, why don't you just shut it down? Because if that team can't play, then we're not going to get, even if the stars come back, we're not going to get a competitive season, you know. Because if you don't have the Milwaukee Bucks playing in that bubble, then what are we going to look forward to? Because they're the number one team to come out of the East, you know, and face, you know, the Lakers or the Clippers. So why, if those teams are getting it, why don't you just shut down the whole thing? You know, we're not going to get any competitive basketball again. You know, before the shutdown happened, Giannis was playing lights out. You know, like I think they were on record to win 68 games. Like that's how well they were playing, and he was going to win back-to-back MVP. You know, even though the media was trying to push LeBron as, you know, the MVP, Giannis like separated himself. You know, I don't think it was even close, and he was putting up better numbers. You know, and as well as the Heat, you know, the Heat are definitely a great team. You know, they're obviously in the bubble because that's their home city, and you know, the Heat were playing well, very well. You know, Jimmy was playing, you know, lights out as well. You know, Bam was playing well. Who else was playing well? Other players were playing well. So definitely, they were playing well. And the Brooklyn, you know, they have the best player in the world. You know, KD, who's already sitting out. Kyrie is injured. Spencer. So you have all these teams that have great players in the Heat, the Nets, and the Bucks. And if you put those teams away, we're not going. The NBA, like, it's not going to be competitive, and it's going to be boring to watch because the stars are not playing. You know, a lot of them are hurt. You know, and with this, you know, obviously with those teams getting it, probably the other teams got it as well because, you know, players are always traveling, and I just think that with this NBA season, it's just going to be a wasted year. It's going to have an asterisk on it. And the other day, I was kind of shocked. I wouldn't say I was shocked. I was just kind of baffled when Giannis said, you know, this is going to be the hottest NBA championship that, you know, he's ever, you know, had to win, you know. And, you know, we also see that, you know, he agrees with LeBron, you know. And I've always seen it with Giannis, you know. I've always seen that, you know, he's definitely revered LeBron, which is I don't have any problem with. But, you know, he definitely showed some tendencies, you know, when he said that statement. You know, I was kind of put off by it, you know. And I just think that, with a lot of these players that are saying that, this is going to be a tough championship, I just think that a lot of these players, they just have to say a lot of things that, they have to say a lot of things that they don't agree with just to get along, to go along, because they have sponsors, and if they get out of line, they're not going to be sponsored anymore, and they're not going to get their money's worth. So a lot of them have to say politically correct things, just to be on par with the league. I just think that this has been a very bizarre year, not just in the NBA, but just everywhere else, and like with the NBA, coming back, I just think that I'm not allowing the other 8 teams to compete. It's just a waste. Why would you only bring back 22 teams when the other 8 teams, one of those teams could have made the playoffs. And last time I checked, when you're playing an NBA season, shouldn't all teams be able to have the opportunity to play? Other than just neglect the others. It's not going to be competitive. And in this era, particularly in this time, we need the other teams to compete because, the NBA has been watered down so much. A lot of these players, even though they have the freedom and the right to go to the other teams, which I agree with, we don't see that competitive basketball no more because they follow a LeBron style of leadership. LeBron technically runs the NBA, on the players' side, and I saw Kobe Bryant, I saw Michael Jordan play. I didn't see Michael Jordan play, but I saw Kobe Bryant play, and I saw basketball at the highest level. And when I see LeBron play, it's so watered down. Even like when he was on the Miami Heat, like them winning 2 out of 4 championships, like that's a failure to me. I think they should have won 4 out of 4. With all that talent on that team, LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, who else? Other players, and I just think that the fact that they didn't live up to the expectation. Some people say that LeBron, lived up to all the hype. Maybe stat wise, but in terms of championship, this guy's 3 for 9. And they say he's better than Kobe. But I've seen Kobe do things that LeBron hasn't done. This guy Kobe, he won 3 championships with Shaq, and then after Shaq left, they went through a rebuilding phase, and then he had to learn how to be a leader. And then once he got over that hump, he went 2 for 3 in the NBA Finals, which is above 50%. With less talent on his team. And could you have imagined if you were to take out LeBron from that team and put Kobe on that Miami Heat team? Now I know him and D Wade, do similar things, but they're winning 4 out of 4 championships, man. Like with that talent on that team, the Spurs took the Heat to 7 games. I think they would have swept the Spurs, in back-to-back finals. If Kobe was on that team, because his skill set is just, off the chain, And even though I saw MJ, MJ is the GOAT, I just think that in terms of skill-wise, Kobe, I think he's the most skillful player in the NBA, and I'm getting off track, but I'm just talking about, obviously with the NBA teams, I'm just saying, particularly in this time, I just think it's very important that every other team plays because you need to have that competitiveness because a lot of KD's out, a lot of stars are hurt. So I just think that it was befitting that you bring all the other 8 teams to play, if you're going to resume the season, But also at the same time, I get it because then if you bring more teams back, then there's going to be more coronavirus cases, But if that was the issue, just shut down the season, You need to start in October, because then at that time things are not going to get back to normal. But at least you have more time spent for the players to get in a decent amount of shape, so then we can have a great season. Even though, yeah, absolutely. Even though fans are not going to technically be there next year, it's going to be a very competitive season because now you're able to bring all the other teams back. You're able to train more, and you don't have to just go in the bubble in Orlando. I think now you can probably play it on the home court if that's possible. If you wait it out a little longer, I think that's more befitting than just putting all these players in the bubble in Orlando where cases are rising every single day. That's stupid. Why would you put all these players in one state, in one city where cases are rising. Shouldn't, if the virus is there, shouldn't you just like spread these players just so then cases don't rise up and they don't get privy to the coronavirus cases? That's what I would think, So then, for players not to get it, and with with these 3 teams, with a lot of the players on that team getting the cases, isn't that a sign to like shut it down? What if the NBA shut down the season with Rudy Gobert? If he was one player at that time that got the coronavirus cases, and you have 3 NBA teams that have a lot of players that are getting the virus, shouldn't you just shut down and scrap the whole season? It doesn't make mathematical sense for one player to get the case and then you shut down everything. But a lot of players on 3 teams, they have the virus and you're not shutting it down and you still want to go into the bubble? No, come on, man. More players are getting it. And like Richy said, in Disney World, just the other day, they showed players showed the plane food. They showed foods on the plane and showing how, the type of meals that they were getting, And I know that they're multi-millionaires, but a lot of these workers, in the bubble, they're gonna go in and out, And Stephen A. Smith the other day, he made a comment, he was like saying, you're gonna put all these men in the bubble for 3 months, and they're not gonna be fucking the woman? Come on, like, you don't think that's not gonna happen? No, like, I don't mean to get too graphic, but now, you gotta have all these horny ass players, and gonna have a lot of these female Disney workers coming in, and you don't think they're not gonna try to smash? Come on, we all see that's gonna happen. They're probably gonna try to hit it on one of the mains. So, and the virus, they're probably gonna hold the virus. So a lot of shit's gonna happen, during the bubble that we're not gonna know about. Like, I just think that it's a bad mistake that you put everyone in the bubble, because a lot of things are gonna happen, because if you look at history, if you put people into if you put them into solitary confinement, a lot of things are gonna happen. I think players are gonna be able to smuggle things in there. Particularly having a stressful day. They're probably gonna have drugs sent in the bubble. People are gonna probably sneak that into it. And there's just gonna be more under the table things that are just gonna happen. And I just think it's gonna be worse. The NBA, they don't see the ramifications it's going to have, particularly with mental health. A lot of these players, suffer from mental health, obviously, because they're criticized and scrutinized, every single day by the mainstream media. Particularly not just the star players, but the low-level players as well. You're going to have that, for 3 months. Them being in the bubble, them being away from their families, not being able to see their people. And a lot of things are going to happen. Just a lot of cases are going to rise, mental health, just a lot of things are going to happen during that time. So I just think that, you should shut everything down.
Yep. I just want to say this real quick, man. They're going to be bringing OnlyFans. They're going to be bringing Pornhub. They're going to be bringing all these things to the NBA, bro. They better bring it. They better find a way to localize that thing to freaking Orlando, Florida, because let me tell you something about these NBA players, man. They run anywhere between 4 to 5 miles a game, and trust and believe, man. Hey, you're gonna have to get some form of stress relief, brother. So I don't know how this shit is gonna happen in the next 3 to 4 months when you got these NBA players, and obviously, this is what makes the caveat of the NBA so special. They can go from team to team, right? They could go from city to city. They probably got groupies in every freaking area code. Now they can't do that. Now it's like 6 feet distance. I don't know if I can plug you. We got problems over here, man. I don't know if the plugging can happen with you because I have to apply 6 feet proximities. I may have a pre-existing condition, so plugging you may not be opportune at this point. So now they have to bring it in. But here's the thing. Are they going to be doing quarantine of the OnlyFans and those that are coming in? Are they going to quarantine them? Are they going to have them make sure that they stay where they're at? Because they got to get the hair did. They got to do everything. They got to get situated. See, this is the stuff that the NBA is not thinking about. These players got to get around, man. And what people don't understand is this is an airborne virus. Now imagine if the groupies bring the airborne virus to the players. See, we got to talk about these things. There's a lot of stuff here that we have to unpack so people can see that this story, this situation is serious. This is what we're talking about. It's a bubble, y'all. A bubble in every facet. So is basketball really necessary at this point? I just wanted to throw that out there because what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to figure out, if I was the NBA and I want to make sure, y'all about to laugh right now, but I'm going to tell y'all, I want everybody to hit the thumbs up when I say this. The NBA, if they are smart, all of these players that saying they want to pull out, they don't want to have no restart or anything, they better go over there and build a king of diamonds over there. Or they better find a way to build a Magic City in Orlando, Florida, and hire about a good 300 to 400 strippers and say, look here, y'all gonna have to park right there because we're gonna have NBA players zooming in for about 3 to 4 months. If they don't do that, then guess what? There's a problem. Houston, there is a problem because, like everyone alluded to, and we know this to be true when it comes to the NBA, drugs is not something that is foreign to NBA players, and hooking up is not foreign to NBA players. We would be lying to ourselves if we sit here and say it's not synonymous with sports. This is what makes these sports athletes are able to perform at maximum proficiency. This is not boxing where you can't be sitting here and basically losing the man juice. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta hold on to your man juice when it comes to boxing, because if you don't, you lose your legs. Combat sports is completely different, because if you lose your man juice, you screwed going into that fight. You ain't got no testosterone. You ain't got no aggression. So that other motherfucker that got the aggression, guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna knock you out. But in basketball, they play so many games. They got so many days in between. This is their way to relieve themselves. So this is what I'm talking about when I say Adam Silver has not figured it out, man. He has not figured it out, because this is actually more important than basketball right now. Because NBA players, that's why you saw Damian Lillard when Damian Lillard said, man, you know what? I don't know how it's going to happen in Orlando. I don't know how things are going to work in Orlando. Damian Lillard wasn't talking about no damn basketball. Damian Lillard was talking about how I'm going to zoom them in. That's what he was talking about. He didn't know how they were going to zoom in. And now I'm going to have all of these area codes meshing in with one another, confusing one another, throwing each other off. That's too much. See, these NBA players, they are already in trouble because they are already on social media. Now you're telling them they need to find a way to take all of these people and put them together. That's too many fights. That's too much nonsense going on right now. And you think everybody going to want to be under the same roof, under that same cesspool for a matter of months? See, y'all got to think about this. See, Adam Silver didn't even look at the bigger picture. He didn't look at the bigger picture. That's the problem with Adam Silver. He just didn't see the bigger picture. Your populace of basketball is 80% black. That's what your populace is. He didn't get it. Or maybe he just didn't get the memo. See, there's certain checkoffs that you got to understand when it comes to the populace of the NBA, right? Guess what's on top of the checkoff? You got to find a way to zoom them into Orlando, Florida. That is the biggest part of the damn checkoff before anything else. Did Adam Silver think about that? No, he didn't. Richy Rich, on to you, bro.
Yeah, man, you guys brought up great points, man. I mean, well, to start off the topic, we were talking about the teams that, you know, shut down their gyms because of, you know, a few players having the COVID-19. So they had to shut off their gymnasiums because they didn't want the virus to spread amongst the team, you know, and that going into the bubble, man, all that's going to do is just make the product not viable, man. It's going to make the product less competitive. The Eastern Conference, the Nets, like how Lewis talked about earlier when he was referring to the Nets, you know, saying they already have half their team out, man, and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are already, you know, decided they were not even going to try to make an attempt to come back through this. And now they have players like Spencer Dinwiddie. They have a couple of their centers out, their top players that are out there that aren't playing. To Sean Prince, he's a solid player in their rotation. He came out and said he's not playing. You know what I'm saying? That's an Eastern Conference team that's not going to challenge the Bucks or any of these other Eastern Conference teams. Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers. They could probably make a series competitive with them going into those playoffs, but that's a team that's been decimated by this virus. It's only going to make the product bring down the product, water down the product. And with that, you can't. You look at this, man, where they're cutting corners, man. Corners are being cut. Look over in the Western Conference, Nikolai Jokic. That's their best player on the Denver Nuggets, man. They're trying to rush this dude back to the States. He's in Serbia. That's where he caught the COVID, and he can't come back right now.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to bring this man back, and he's not healthy yet. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to force this man to come back. He can't be amongst his teammates, or he's going to spread that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of crazy just thinking about that. They're trying to just imagine if they don't get this man back when these 8 games start up. The last few remaining 8 games that they got to play, and they lose some of these games. That's going to affect their seeding going into this playoffs. And when they need their best player, Nikolai Jokic, he wasn't in the MVP race last season when he was putting up those phenomenal numbers as a center. That's the thing, man. I mean, we got to look into this, man, and there's just so many corners being cut, things being accommodated for, man. And we've never seen this in an NBA season ever, man. This thing is the first time we've ever seen this before. In my eyes, man, it's an asterisk, man. You can't tell me anything. It's an asterisk because there's so many crazy. This COVID-19 is making the NBA have to accommodate, have to switch around, and do so much craziness just to appease, people that want to watch this season, or players that want to play. For making certain players not being able to play. Only makes it easier for certain teams that actually have a chance to win the title. And why would we want that? We know these guys, these teams are already the favorites, but now the situation that's arisen right now only makes it easier for these teams now. So it's a joke in my eyes, and they need to. I remember Michael Jordan was one of the owners that told Adam Silver that because they were thinking about trying to make this a tournament. Michael Jordan told Adam Silver, man, just do the normal playoff format. Don't try to make it too gimmicky. So, and Adam Silver listened to Jordan. But at first, he was going to change things up. He was going to turn this into some kind of NCAA tournament where they were going to have the 16 best team. They were going to be having I don't know if you guys saw this, where they were going to change. They were going to have the Lakers were going to be playing the Brooklyn Nets first.
Yep, that's what it was.
They were going to go right into the playoff format, and just imagine if the Lakers got to play the Nets. No KD, no Kyrie, and all these other players with the COVID-19 right now not playing. Lakers going to have a cakewalk, man. They're going to just rush right to the finals, man. Playing these teams. The Dallas Mavericks were going to play the Los Angeles Clippers. Although I think the Los Angeles Clippers could beat them because they when they played a few games this season, I saw the job that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were able to do on your boy the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic, they were able to defend him well. He struggled when he played against those guys. So the Clippers, in my eyes, would beat that team. But that still would be a more competitive series for them because Luka Doncic is on the rise. Kristaps Porzingis, they're a nice duo. That's a more competitive first round than as opposed to the Lakers. If they had to go that route. So I'm glad Michael Jordan came out and said, "Hey, man, this is going to be a joke of a reopening, but Adam Silver, man, let's not make this thing gimmicky, man. Let's just stick to the normal playoff format. You know, everybody's got to go. We went that route. Why don't try to change this up? If you're gonna change this up, go do this in the next few years, man. Because you know, maybe some people, the new age is getting tired of the old format, and they want the NBA to come out with a playoff type of format or some type of tournament where the 16 best teams.
Translation, Richy Rich was Adam Silver was just basically saying, you just came fresh off of the Last Dance documentary. Why are you making this thing obvious that you're trying to do the Love Participation Award era achievement?
Exactly.
So I just wanted to say that real quick.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm glad MJ did that, man. So, because, man, this thing is already phony anyways. He was trying to make it even phonier. So, I don't know, man. This thing, and just the other day, you had a WNBA player, man, that was showing, I don't know if you guys caught on to that, where they actually were showing TNT where yesterday, because they were breaking down, like, it was like a preview of what's going to start to happen in the bubble. And Candace Parker, she's one of the hosts on the Tuesday NBA on TNT, and she was basically she's going to be playing in the WNBA reopening when their season starts. And she was she brought to our attention one of the WNBA players. They were showing like the situation in one of the laundry rooms, man, and how unsanitary it was. And that caught my eye. Like, I mean, you don't know how messy some of these NBA players are. This how people don't understand. Some of these players, we don't know these players. We don't know if these guys like to clean up after themselves, or if they leave, are they just dirty or something? Man, this thing could get hectic, man. That's all I'm telling you. There's some guys that are probably slobs, man. You just don't know. This virus, man, it's just waiting. It's waiting, man. It's waiting, man, for one of these dudes to slip up so it could just seep in there and it can knock out one of these. Because you got to look at it this way: the only way Adam Silver is gonna shut down this NBA season if some of these mega weight players go down and catch this virus. If it's just the average role players, he's gonna resume this. But if a guy like Kawhi gets knocked out, LeBron, AD, Giannis, this man he's gonna have no choice but to cancel the season. That's what it's gonna take, man. And the messed up part is that's how it possibly it might go down. A few of these dudes might end up catching this thing. And Adam Silver, man, his head is obviously not gonna roll, but there's gonna be hell to pay going into the season, because he saw the crazy amount of cases rising up. He saw the hints are out there. Teams are shutting down their practice facilities. Guys are coming in with the COVID-19. Guys got a quarantine before this thing happens. Michael Brogdon, Spencer Dinwiddie. No, actually, he's not even playing anymore. He's, like you said, he knows before that he's having some serious complications with this virus, and he's not going to participate because he can't go. His body can't go, man. He has to get right. You mentioned before, Lewis, how Rudy Gobert is not even feels that he still has trouble breathing, man. Some of these guys who caught this, they still feel the effects of this virus, man. Imagine if it finds this way, or if someone has a test where they have a false negative. Just imagine that someone goes, they test, because they're saying this is what they're doing. For the players that are coming in now, they're testing them 2 times. For the players that have that had the virus and they're coming in, they're testing them 3 times. What if all 2 times or 3 times it's all false negative? The symptoms are still there, but the test it just comes up where because there's been times where people have had the HIV, they can have the virus and they've been tested and their test comes up negative, but they still got the virus in them. Exactly. You don't know, man. This thing might play games, man, to where it gives a player a false negative test, but they still got the virus in them. Yep, and then they go and everybody gets exactly. everybody gets it. They go up in there and they mess everybody up, man. And then there needs to be another stoppage. And then Adam Silver ends up looking like an idiot through all this whole situation, man. This whole thing, man, it spells disaster, man, because these guys, man, they want that money, but they don't care, man. They're gonna do whatever they can to fulfill those contracts. And I don't care, man. These players, man, they should have made a stand more. I wanted more players to make a stand. That kind of disappointed me when I saw on June 24th, it wasn't enough players, man, that were just deciding to opt out. You know, especially on the Black Lives Matter, but because this whole coronavirus situation hasn't been resolved yet, man. It's just crazy. I'm done.
Lewis, man. You know, Lewis is his own brand. So, you know, you call the jersey, Lewis gonna have what he got to say, man. So what's your take, brother?
Whew. Oh man. Richard just spoke major facts. I'm about to kill it right here, man. Check this out. How many teams had to close their facilities due to COVID? Miami, Milwaukee, Denver, Brooklyn, Sacramento. Who's the only team that's still practicing that hasn't had to close down their facility? LAL, Los Angeles Lakers. Notice they've been the only team. And then let me add on this. Notice all these cases are coming out with the players who've had it from all these other teams. Notice that back at the end of March, 3 Laker players were tested positive. And what did the NBA do? Higgity goddamn hush on who are the players that still have COVID. And do we still know who those players are? No. And then what did the NBA say about a month later? All Laker players are free from COVID. I wonder why. Because they know deep down that there was probably a star player, and I think I know who that is, but probably had it. They just kept it under wraps because they were trying to protect it to hopefully make it seem like if they still had an opportunity to win the championship. But you wonder why they were so quiet about that. But Kevin Durant, who wasn't even playing, Kevin Durant, he's got the COVID-19. I'm like, but Kevin Durant's one of the star players. Why? It's because he's not playing. But don't you think if there's a certain other superstar that, if let's just say that he wasn't playing, so to say, you think that they were going to mention the fact that he had it? And I'm not even mentioning his name, but I'm pretty sure everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat know who I'm talking about. And I'm gonna say this again also. Do you think if COVID happened last year, knowing that this certain person was going to miss the playoffs like he did last year, do you think he would have signed off for it? Because what would he would have said? Well, Adam Silver, he's looking out for the players, and we got to understand that it's not safe to play right now. And then that same player comes back this season and says, you know what? If I don't get to play, man, I might not get a chance at a full ring. I mean, this might be it for me. This might be it for me. And like Richy Rich said, what's his face? Nikola Jokic is still in Serbia. He says that he's still trying to fly with the team, and they were supposed to fly today. Denver's actually supposed to fly today. There's 3 teams supposed to be flying from the 8th to the 10th, to go to Orlando. And I believe Denver's supposed to be flying today. But he's still recovering. And thank you for bringing up that point on Rudy Gobert not being able to breathe. And you mentioned about Spencer Dinwiddie, and it's like, who is to say that Nikola Jokic, even though he lost all that weight, he just recovered from that, and he's clear to go according to doctors. Who's to say that he's not if he's not to get the COVID once again, and next thing you know, he has to be out. But this is Adam Silver's solution. Since we're in the NBA bubble, we just got to quarantine him for 10 to 14 days. But like you mentioned, Rich, about the Candace Parker thing, and she's starting a WNBA season, and it's looking unsanitary. We don't even really know how these NBA players are when it comes to how they clean themselves. Some of them may not be organized and clean. Some of them may be pretty sloppy. And like you said, all it takes is just that one person, to screw this whole thing up. And next thing you know, the NBA looks like it's going to have to start to shut down. But then I also come back to this. This is what I said. I know Richie mentioned about Michael Jordan. And this is why I'm going to go back to that person in LA. You remember a couple years ago when Adam Silver said that he was thinking about tinkering the playoff format just because how boring the East has kind of been when it comes to ratings. And what did that person say? Oh, no. the history of the NBA. You know, we should try to think or anything, and you know, we should leave things the way it is. So when it doesn't, so when it's not convenient for you, we shouldn't get all too gimmicky. But because of this COVID-19, he was about to get gimmicky again, and who decided to stop him and said, we got to keep it normal. You're trying to be gimmicky on this kind of time. The man himself, Michael Jordan, told him, he said, listen, man, we don't need to be gimmicky right now. Like, you trying to do all this, you trying to go back and forth. You know, this it's funny. This whole NBA bubble reminds me of Sandy Cheeks' house in Bikini Bottom on SpongeBob SquarePants. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This is all this is reminding me of. And like he knows who's mentioned it. Like, and Jacob Lonewolf was talking about it, man. What Stephen A. Smith said. They're gonna have to bring Pornhub or whatever. Because you think, man, going all that time without having women, because we know a lot of these NBA players do anyway, especially this young generation. They don't take care of their money. They're messing with these thoughts as it is anyway. So just think about it. They're not gonna have these. They're not gonna have. And you know, no disrespect to women out there, but you guys know what I'm saying. It's just the ones that they, you know, choose to hang out with instead of being really smart, you know, about who they're with, and then obviously who they're spending their money with instead of really taking care of it. You know, so then there's that aspect. So when you listen to the fact that this is what Adam Silver also doesn't understand. It's like the NBA bubble is kind of pretty much a travel in its own. It's just you're going to be in a quarantine. You're traveling in and out of quarantine. You're containing all of these players in quarantine. You mean to tell me that there's no possible way? Kendrick Perkins. Oh yeah, I got tremendous faith in Adam Silver because what Adam Silver's doing, I mean, Adam Silver, I got a lot of faith in him. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing. Man, get the F out of here, man. Seriously. And this is why I said it before. If Stephen A. thinks it's so safe for the players to come back to New York, that I want you in the front lines and be part of the Fire and go to Orlando. Kendrick Perkins, you think it's all safe because you got faith in LeBron? Because I mean, he's the greatest athlete I've ever seen. You know what? You want to see your boy LeBron James play, Mr. 80 claps a game? Go down to Orlando and go check your boy out. FC, be part of the bubble. You be part of the bubble and see if you know if it's all safe. Because like Richy Rich said, man, it's like you put in all these players in a bubble. You mean to tell me that you think those chances are not going to go up if somebody gets this again? Does Adam Silver even think that there's players who have come out and said that they're still having trouble breathing even after recovering from COVID, as I mentioned, as Richy Rich has mentioned? Like going back to what Jacob Lonewolf said about this whole experiment. Instead of you trying to survey and actually have a plan, you're just trying to go with the flow. Well, Adam Silver, I'm sorry to tell you, but going with the flow does not work in this situation right here. Because we're talking about something really serious. And you know what's also crazy? And now that Richy Rich had brought up, you know, the whole social justice thing for a second. I had did a video on a particular lady by the name of Maya Moore, for those who know who she is.
Now, by the way, I ain't gonna front. I got a crush on Maya Moore, so I know who that is.
But my thing is that people are saying, well, you know, the WNBA, you know, obviously they don't make a lot of money and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, listen, Maya Moore could have easily focused on basketball if she wanted to, because at the end of the day, it's a choice with what she's accomplished. She decided to sit out 2 years. She studied criminal justice and reform. And what did she do? What did she help do in a fight? She helped a brother who was in jail for 22 years, convicted of burglary and assault in a conviction, something that he didn't do. She helped him get out. The man was awarded free when they overturned the decision. He was able to get out of jail, and he was able to be free again. And I said, this is a lady who just did something. And I said, this is what I'm talking about. A woman who sacrificed her career, came right into the front lines. She knows what she knows her information in terms of what she studied. So she knows exactly what she's doing. And guess what? She helped a brother who was wrongfully convicted. And we see all the time with this misconduct. And ESPN decides to mention this 3 months later when this decision was overturned in March. And I said, you got players who've already stood the good fight on the front lines. So there's other things that are important right now. And do people forget this also? That I mean, Adam Silver, you do understand that players have to wear masks when they're on the plane, right? Like, you do understand that there could be, people can get sick in the air too when they're flying to another place. So that means that they're breathing their own air in a plane full of what? People.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if it's a few, it's people. Even if you get on a private jet, it don't matter. You're still with people, man, and it's like you still have to worry about these precautions. So what? And it just really baffles me that all these players that are deciding to sit out. Damian Lillard came out and says that I don't even think, he even said that he doesn't even think it, doesn't even think it's sick. But for some reason, he wants to continue this season. He wants to continue this season. And I'm wondering to myself, is Adam Silver going to really emphasize these rules? Because at the end of the day, as the sports said, as all you guys have said, these guys are grown men. These guys are grown men. So are you going to improvise? You must be sanitary with whatever equipment we use, so that the people who are cleaning the facilities and cleaning the arena, so that it makes their job easier instead of making that job more difficult, because they have to be touching things that have already been touched. And even if they're wearing these masks or whatever, I'm telling you, it just takes one slip up. Let's say that a glove happens to break. Next thing you know, that whatever's on the surface, as Richy Rich mentioned, they come back and touch that. Next thing you know, they're touching somebody else, or they're in contact with somebody else, and guess what? They got COVID. I just want to see, how is the social distance going to be practiced? I mean, because it's like I said before, why is Adam Silver considering a silver bubble? You know why? Because there might not be enough room for this so-called NBA bubble to actually happen to take place. So why are you coming out with a second bubble? And a lot of people already said, yeah, you know what? I don't really think that's such a good idea. So then I'm looking at you, Adam Silver, like, yeah, you trying to restart the season? Not a good idea. It's not a good idea. But it again goes back to that player that I talked about. And see how I can pretty much direct him without even saying his name, because people know who I'm talking about. See, he's very good at sending cryptic tweets. And I said, look, man, I was able to throw an indirect subliminal on my own. This is what I'm talking about. Do you really think that this man really cares about the season? Do you really think that Adam Silver's caring about the season? Because how is it that you're so positive, but you still have concern? Because if you're so positive, that means that there should be no setbacks. So why are you having setbacks and saying that I'm concerned that there possibly have to be shut down? So if you use your brain, Adam Silver, there's no positives here, because you're going to lose, and you're the one that's going to be looked bad if you don't do something and cancel the season. Because forget about the owners. You're the one that's doing the talking for them when you stand in the podiums and you answer the questions that all these media reporters, the mainstream media, always has for you, even though that they're reporting, on their platforms. So what I'm basically telling you, Adam Silver, is you can't come in here and try to act like a hypocrite now, because we're positive that we have to move forward. But you sitting out here talking about that they're possibly, I'm not saying that they can't be concerned, but don't talk about all of a sudden that there's positive when you're thinking negative too. You can't have both, because a positive and a negative equals a negative. So basically, what I'm basically trying to tell you, Adam Silver, is I've said before that I love the game of basketball. But when you look at the circumstances and how weird this year has been, as Jacob Lonewolf said, and also thinking about how this could potentially go into next year, Richy mentions and mentioning about the stuff that needs to be kind of sanitized, of what, not only the workers, because then it's like, what if the workers meet these players like in the hallway or something, that when they're walking? I mean, that's not really social distancing, because at some point you're going to cross paths. That closes the distance. Like, does Adam Silver think about this stuff? And that's telling me no. Going with the flow is going to bite him in the ass. And trust me, he's not going to want to face the media after that, because they're going to come with some kind of excuse. But the thing is, there's no excuse. And like I said, the ones that think on a three-dimensional level know that there's absolutely no excuses for this any way, shape, or form that he tries to tell the media, or tell people who are listening. Because at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, there are the players that have already set out, the Bradley Beals, Davis Bertans, that already eliminates one team right there. Then you got the Nets already with 7 players. That's damn near the whole damn roster. That's not going to make it competitive. Who are you going to replace? It doesn't matter who you replace. I told you, once you put those players in, they got an interim coach. So basically, he's got to figure out what their strengths are in 8 games. You think 8 games is enough time? No, sirree. Also, people have to think about this now. I'm wondering now, it's like also people also have to think about the times now, because the regular season, they're starting these games, some of these games in the afternoon. I'm wondering if this is going to be the same thing in the playoffs too. Like, how is that going to come into effect too? And also, like, some of these games are going to be it's only 8 games, but they're going to have to play. They're going to have to play some back-to-backs. And I'm going to close it with this last point, as Richy Rich said. I don't give a damn what anybody says. This is why we keep the foot on the necks on this damn channel, because at the end of the day, listen, the media's coming out and saying, well, there's going to be no asterisk at the end of the season. That's a bunch of bullshit. You know why? Because if LeBron James wins the NBA championship, you already know that they're going to say that he's going to get all this credit, and they're going to say there was no asterisk because everybody else was quarantined just like him. Remember, right? Exactly. And notice that he's been the only one working out. And I don't know if y'all saw a picture, but it's crazy that before quarantine, LeBron really wasn't showing that much gray in his beard. But during quarantine, even though they say he looked 19, I said, how you look 19 with an old ass gray beard like that? And I said, did you see his hair? Because he needs to get a new stylist to be able to pass that thing up. Pass that thing up. He needs a new hair product. I saw this Asian person on TV who took a little hair piece and was able to sew it in perfectly up. I said, LeBron needs to find and go see him, see if he could get himself a nice little deal if he could get some money back guarantee, because I said LeBron was looking pretty old for somebody who looks in great shape. So that to me tells me something. And I know people don't like Skip, some of them who don't like to, but at the same time, he is a truth teller when it comes to him at times. But LeBron got 5 months off. So people could talk about Kawhi Leonard and stuff like that, because he's had injuries and he's dealing with a knee issue that he's recovering from, and he should be well rested because he's not playing. He's going to be playing pretty much all the games, just like he did last year when he missed 20 games during the season. Kawhi Leonard didn't miss a single game after that because all bets are off. He's got to play. But my thing is, if Kawhi Leonard was to win the championship, guys, you already know the media is going to say due to COVID, because it's COVID, Kawhi Leonard's championship don't count. If, let's say, Kevin Durant was playing and he won the championship, they would say, oh, you already know they hate Kevin Durant, so you're going to say, oh, that don't count because of COVID. If Giannis Antetokounmpo wins, oh, that doesn't count because Giannis plays in the weak East and it's due to COVID that he can't, that's not going to count. So the media, they're not fooling me, because when it comes to LeBron, he'll get the credit during quarantine. See, if the season was canceled, they were going to say, oh, the Lakers are rolling. The Lakers, they beat the Clippers and they beat the Bucks. Okay, 2 teams. Okay, big deal. You still got to play the rest of the games. Like, what sense does that make? 2 games close the MVP race between you and Giannis Antetokounmpo? That's a bunch of nonsense. Giannis has been the MVP from day one. Again, this is why AD's getting disrespected. Remember? And I want to bring it back on this point. Oh, I remember what was it? 2016 NBA Finals. It was when Kyrie should have been at least co-MVP with LeBron. Oh, LeBron led in points, rebounds, assists. He led in every major statistical category. 2020, LeBron, Anthony Davis leads in points, rebounds, block shots, and what was the other one? I forgot. I think it was in steals or whatever. But 4 major categories. LeBron's only leading the team in assists, but somehow he's the MVP. And again, I'm gonna say this again. Anybody who is a threat to LeBron James, anybody who is a threat. You notice the forwards that are playing right now: Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, KD, all vying for the best player in the world. All vying. I'm pretty sure everybody on this panel has got their best player in the world, but my point is all 3 of them pretty much fighting. None of those guys are going to get the credit because they're going to blame it on COVID as to why they got it. There's going to be an asterisk for them, and there's no asterisk for LeBron James. But the bottom line is, and I'm going to close it out with this, there's an asterisk for this championship because look at everything that's happened. Look at the amount of players that have had to sit out. And look at the West teams that it's affecting. The Pelicans, who have an easy schedule, who have the easiest schedule compared to the other teams that are fighting for a playoff spot right now. That tells you that they're trying to get Zion in the playoffs. They got the 22nd hardest schedule. And before that, they had the 22nd hardest schedule. The Grizzlies, the Kings, and the Blazers all have more difficult schedules than the Pelicans do. So now Brandon Ingram is possibly going to sit out, right? You got Buddy Hield has got COVID as well, right? The Kings had to close their facility. And I said, look at all these teams that had to close but one team, the Los Angeles Lakers. They just got J.R. Smith. And I don't care if J.R. Smith is on the team. My thing is Cleveland sent him home. They never terminated his contract. But yet the media just kept going and saying, oh, the Lakers are the front runner to get LeBron. So then to get J.R. Smith. So basically, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear that J.R. Smith, you signed your own death wish if y'all don't win the championship, because the media's going to get on you again, because it's like you didn't learn your lesson, J.R. Hennessy Smith. Too much Henny in that system, bro. You better recognize that. You're going to get the blame. And Anthony Davis, I hope you're listening too. You're going to get the blame too. If not only you don't show up, but the Lakers don't win the championship, because they're going to protect LeBron James and say, oh, LeBron didn't have help. You know what they're going to say? LeBron didn't have help. So basically, I'm just saying it like this. The NBA season has an asterisk. It has an asterisk no matter which way you put it. And I don't care if it's Kawhi Leonard. I don't care if it was even Kevin Durant himself. I don't care if it was Giannis. I don't care if it's anybody. With everything that's going on, from social justice to looting to the pandemic, everything that's going on, people that have died from COVID, the cases were the highest in New York, and now it's a spike in the South, especially in Florida. Like, are you serious? And then Adam Silver trying to get gimmicky with this NBA season? Come on, bro. This was an asterisk season. Whether anybody likes it or not, this was an asterisk. And I'm talking about everybody. But the media is going to be convenient when it comes to their boy LeBron compared to the other forwards and other players in the league. And that's all I got to say.
Yep. Now let's close it out on the last topic, because the second and the fourth topic was interwoven. Jacob Lonewolf, I'm gonna have you pick up, man. Sports bubble. And here's the thing that people got to understand. They're using the sports world as a guinea pig. And I've said this, you know what I'm saying, in personal circles. So I'm going to say it live here so people can understand it. They're just using a lot of stuff as guinea pigs so that they can try to figure out how 2020 is going to pan out. Sports seems to be the bubble that they're using, because what people have to understand with the sports bubble is you have a lot of people that can congregate in these environments. And with you not having a cure in sight, that's a lot of people that can get affected. Now, I know right now they've come with protocols in place to where they made it seem like they don't have, sports where fans are actually having what's called physical interaction. They're not ingratiating themselves with the sport the way that they did. There's not the actual fan experience where they are physically there to enjoy the experience of the sport itself, right? But here's the thing. Eventually, they're going to try to use testing and experiments to try to see how this is going to pan out. And I could see this coming in the coming months. Bottom line is, no cure in sight. No cure in sight in the coming months. It's going to be the same debacle. It's going to be the same fiasco. It's going to be the same nonsense. So when you look at the sports bubble and as a whole, you look at it in its, or you look at it from a general perspective, it's a problem. Because let's just keep it real. Folks are not going to always practice 6 feet proximity. You guys see it when you're intermingling or you're walking around and you're out in the public. Is people really practicing 6 feet proximity all the time? No. Now, you could imagine now you have a cesspool of fans drinking under the influence, and they're watching a sporting event at a sporting venue. What do you think is going to happen? See, we have to be idealistic here. We have to be reasonable here. We have to understand why this bubble here is basically, to me, an experimentation. And it's basically like a guinea pig to try to weed off the population. Because what you guys need to understand is, just a few years ago, we were talking about 6.5 billion people on the planet. Now we're talking about upwards to 10 billion people on the planet. This is crazy. And what you guys need to understand with the natural resources that are out there, as opposed to the differential of the population, resources are not able to meet the population needs because people are living longer, but people are not dying enough. It's great that people are living longer. It's great that people are more vibrant with life. But there used to be a balance where people were dying and people were coming. Well, people are not dying as much as people are coming. So the bottom line is we have an issue here. And we need to explore this. And to me, when you pack 60,000+ people, football, i.e. soccer, right? That's how they call it in the American language, but it's really the real football. You know what I'm saying? That one can pack upwards to 100,000+ people easily, maybe even more. Just think about this stuff. And I really want you guys to see how the bubble of sports itself is going to be a big issue. So, Jacob Lonewolf, I really want you to start off and give your take on it. How do you feel the sports bubble as a whole is being used as an experiment or guinea pig to basically see how things are going to pan out in the sporting world?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you that sports is being used as a guinea pig because with a lot of these players, particularly when you hear with the coronavirus, they say that a lot of elderly people are prone to get the virus. People that are old or people that have a lot of issues going on with their body. But I think the reason why a lot of athletes are being used as guinea pigs is because athletes, particularly, they're very different compared to the general population, to the general public of people. Because these players are very, they're in great shape all the time. They're athletic. So I think that the reason why they're using sports as a guinea pig is because they're trying to test out if these players are going to be okay or right. Because athletes, the modern day athlete is like a gladiator. Back in those times, in history, as you bring up with the population control, there was something called I think it was the Roman circus, where they have a lot of these gladiators go onto the field and fight one another and kill each other. That's what athletes are. A lot of them. If there wasn't sports, there would be generals. Like I could see a Michael Jordan being a general or a commander. So I think sports is a very important thing, and it's a very important fabric of society because it allows people, particularly a lot of these brutes, to go out and compete with one another. Whereas back in the day, they would have killed each other. So I think sports, they're using it as a guinea pig because they're trying to test it out on these athletes, who are in society, the people that are in the best shape, and they're trying to see if they're okay, to make sure if they how they fare well with the virus. Because before, when they create the vaccines, they tested on animals first, to see how the animals would react. So I think with the reason why they're using sports as a guinea pig is because a lot of these owners are rich as hell and they have more money to the point to where if one of these players something happens to them, they're all right because then they can cover for them. So they're trying to test it on the players first before they do it on the general public. And you're like, okay, why are these leagues opening up where they have a lot of employees, a lot of overhead, whereas a lot of these local businesses are out of business. Like a lot of these bars, a lot of these barbershops, the whole nine. How come they're not open, but a lot of these sports leagues are open? I think there was like one article that I read that a lot of the business loans, a lot of these major corporations are getting business loans, whereas the small businesses that need that, they're not getting it. So they're using sports as a guinea pig because a lot of these modern day athletes are like violins. They're in such great shape, so they have to test it on the strongest species first, the stronger of the population that can that know how to that can basically fight off the virus, and they're trying to test it how to make sure that's okay. So I think they're using sports as a guinea pig, and sports is the number one thing that, whether we like it or not, it bonds us together, particularly for high testosterone men. It keeps us, competitive. It keeps us competing one another to not go out there and kill each other. To always, always have that competitive edge. So we have something to do in life. Because I think a lot of these people at home, like I don't know. I think that a lot of these athletes, they look at athletes as not human beings. They look at them as more of like these aliens. So they have to test it on them first before they test it on everyone else. So everyone is gonna always tune into sports. So they're just gonna the ratings are gonna be high. So they also have to test it out with them, and they have all the money and the resources to test it on these players. But yeah, I just think that sports is just one of those fabric. It's one of the important fabrics in society that they use to, measure things. So, I definitely want to go hear a lot of you guys' points first, and then I'll add more to the conversation.
All right, Richy Rich.
Yeah, I mean, you guys make a great point when you say this, man. And it's not. What's crazy? I remember reading this in an article a few months ago. Some guy, I forgot his name. His name doesn't come easy to me, but he mentioned this in one of his articles. He was saying that sports are going to be the lab rats first, with this COVID-19. Pretty much, they're going to see how they deal with it, and they're going to, they're all in it. Government, scientists, they probably approach a lot of these owners and told them, try to have some of your league start back up, because you're definitely going to be the first ones we're going to survey, watch, observe, see how you guys fare with this testing, meaning that players are going to catch the virus, man. They're going to catch the virus. So that's going to happen. You're already starting to see it play before these leagues starting to ramp up. Guys are already catching the virus, man. MLS soccer, two teams had to basically opt out of the thing because most of their players caught the virus. I think one team had 17 players that had the virus, and they had to opt out of the whole Orlando tournament. Man, that's crazy. But they're all into this, man. The government, the scientists, the owners, they're using their teams as guinea pigs, like you guys said, to basically try to see how they fare with this whole COVID-19. But the whole issue is okay. We know that they're using these guys as lab rats, guinea pigs, as you said. But what happens? We know that we watch these leagues for the competitiveness. We watch these leagues to see who's going to be the victor. What happens when these viruses take out the players that are important to their teams? How do we view this season? How do we grade this season? Do we take it as a joke? Do we take it seriously? Is the championship meaningful? I mean, that's the questions we gotta arise, man. I know y'all want to use these players as as test subjects, which I don't have a problem with, because we gotta, as a human society, people gotta be put in the forefront to see. Someone's gonna have to be put in the forefront to see how they're gonna cope with trying to find a cure for the virus for the good of human civilization. But since we watch these sports for competitiveness, we watch these sports to see who's gonna come out on top, man, a certain way. And this thing is not organic, bro. It's not organic. This thing is not right, So it's an asterisk to me, man. Like I said, this thing is an asterisk. They just need to not listen. Whoever wins the championship in the NBA, that thing shouldn't count. It shouldn't be meaningful, because there's been too many corners that have been cut. Too many scenarios that have been taken out. Adam Silver, man, you need to do the right thing, man. You need to make this. You know what they should do? The person that wins the title this year, they shouldn't even be counted in as as an NBA champion. This actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind MJ going back and saying, you know what? You could do the gimmicky thing, but as long as you don't grant this NBA champion series, that's tough because too many things have been affected, man. Too many things have been affected this season to where I can't look whoever wins. And that's the thing. I wanted to see Kawhi win this thing so he could have that thing under his belt, to where he was the only player that won three titles on three different teams. But I don't want to see Kawhi win in this type of scenario because I know, just like you guys mentioned, Lewis, they're gonna knock this man. They're gonna say, "Oh, Kawhi, your championship doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing, bro. You won in a COVID-19 year." But like you said, the player you don't want to mention, if he wins it, they're gonna try to change all type of narratives for him to make his championship seem meaningless, man. And that's not fair. If he wins it, they're gonna say, "Oh, okay, you know, LeBron had every Bradley in play. Look at his season stopped. He came back and he won with J.R. Smith. We gotta make it. And he wins his fourth title with the Los Angeles Lakers, the first player to do it on three different teams. They're gonna be doing all types of jumping, all types of chairs for LeBron. But if anybody else wins this thing, man, they're gonna take a dump on them, man. And it's not fair. It's not right, man. So you know what? Let's make it fair. This championship don't count. Anybody who wins it, it don't count, dog. That's how this thing should be looked at.
Great point.
Straight up.
Great point. Lewis, man, what's your take on it, man?
Richy Rich, let me answer your question real quick. Does this thing have an asterisk? You're damn right it does. Hell yeah. It don't matter. This is an asterisk season, man. It's an asterisk season. The thing is, we see it that way. It's just the casuals aren't going to see it that way. And again, it's because it goes back to a certain bias. And that certain bias is, and depending on who it is, man, but if their favorite player wins the NBA championship, it's going to feel great. Real thinkers out here, ones in the panel and the ones in the chat know that this ain't going to count because it's not going to be meaningful. It's not going to be meaningful. It wasn't competitive. We had a lot of players sitting out. When you look at this whole, sports bubble thing, take a look at it this way. Juanetta had mentioned it earlier in the comment. She said she wouldn't be surprised if the government is really getting all these owners and, people in sports, especially think about it this way. What is the government pretty much preying on? They want the economy to come back. They're piggybacking off of what sports is going to do to give them a reason to try to open and try to make sure that the economy runs again. So the sports is the perfect example. Going through the players, as Richy Rich and Jacob Lonewolf said, guinea pigs. These guys are the lab experiments. If this thing works out, the government's looking at this like, oh, hey, yo, we got to take advantage of this right now. And pretty much then it's going to be a matter of they're the ones that are going to get the credit when the sports athletes were the ones who were put in the wash. But then they're going to say, we're the ones that told them to try this out. So, even if it is at the risk of putting, these players' health, because at the end of the day, they may be entertainers to us, but they are still human beings at the end of the day. They have families just like us. The problem is people only care about them because they look at them as entertainers. We want you to entertain us. See, that's how they're looking at this. They're not looking at this from philosophical standpoint. I was like, oh, wait, they could be in danger. I mean, you see how the casuals, they get all upset when they realize that something is happening. Like they might not play due to if a virus is supposed to, if it happens to attack one of these players, next thing you know that they have to sit out. And they're like, oh, man, the chances of just winning a championship. And it's like, you don't even stop and say, wait. We got to make sure that person is okay. See, they put the chip, they put the Statue X, they put the symbol right before the human. That's what this is all about. The symbol of money becomes before the human. So that symbolism is what all about. The symbolism of money is taking over the symbolism of the human race. So when you put that into perspective, this sports bubble, as Richy Rich was just mentioning about, the soccer teams that had to cancel out due to COVID and going to Orlando. I just got a report on my phone. 2 WNBA players are getting medical evaluation. That's Tina Charles and Elena Delle Donne as to why they can't go to Orlando. Due to coronavirus concerns, they're getting medical evaluations right now, so they can't travel with the team. as Richy mentioned with Candace Parker, and talked about how unsanitary it is into where she's going to potentially start playing at in Orlando. And that's why I said property of Sandy Cheeks, because if you look at Bikini Bottom and you look at her house, that's pretty much what's going to be the NBA bubble. That's really what it's going to look like. Maybe it might not look at like that figuratively, but I'm just looking at it from an imagery standpoint. That's what it's really going to look at. All those players trapped in a bubble, all those players trapped in an arena. And it's like Richy is saying, man, this thing is not going to count no matter which way you want it. It doesn't matter. The problem is because there's a certain bias to certain players in this league, they're going to say, there's some people who are going to say, I would have loved to seen the player earn it this way. And like I said, it would have been nice. But, at the end of the day, but, I was saying that, it's not going to count, because you have to understand that everything that's going on with everything, you include social justice, you include this pandemic, you include players have had to sit out, players are sitting out right now, players have had the virus, they recovered, but then they're still having problems breathing. The MLB baseball, they just reported now they have 66 players. It was just 38 last week. It just went up to 66 cases of COVID. It's out of I think it's out of 3,700 something players. And some of the people in the comments were like, oh, that's not bad. I said, but you're forgetting that you're in a bubble. Who's to say that thing isn't going to spread real quickly? Because it's like you're not just dealing with other players, but you're dealing with employees and you're dealing with staff. Like, it's all a culmination of things. And they're saying, well, when Richy Rich mentioned earlier that, 25 cases, out of 300 and something players, that's 8. I think the percent was 8.2%. Like, who's to say that isn't going to go up, man? Like, you really got to be concerned about this stuff, man. And it's like they don't understand that. Like, this sports bubble is, I'm telling you, this is not a good idea, man. Because it's like, yeah, I understand what Richy Rich is saying. They got to go to the forefront, but it's like, this is why it kind of goes back to what, going back to Bill Gates, because, he is trying to push forth the vaccine. And remember that the vaccine takes what? As I said before, 12 to 18 months. And 12 to 18 months, and it's like, it's a really, it's going to take time. But the thing is also, the government is trying to push for this vaccine to come forth. And I'm being honest, like, I don't trust that vaccine at all. I don't trust it, which is why, like, I'm not for it. Who's to say that can make players even more sick from it? So this is why I'm not even really for it on top of that. So, this is why it's a very concerning time. You got the bubble, you have the issue with the economy, you have the issue with like I said before, with the vaccine. It's a really bad time in America right now. It's a really bad time. And I just think that it's just not safe when you consider the sports bubble. If things have had to cancel, that's why I kind of go back into what Richy Rich is saying, which is what I kind of disagree with. It's easy to say that we have to go into the front lines, but at the same time, if these cases are going up, why isn't that should tell you right there that we have to stop. And I said before, this is why you can survey the landscape. You can properly plan for this stuff. Yeah, we could put these players in the front line and we can make them experiments. But now, how are the fans going to feel? Think of how the organization's going to feel. But more importantly, how are their families going to feel if that player happens to get COVID, and let's say that this player ends up passing away for something? If they have to battle with this for a while. That's not going to be a good look for the families. The families are going to want to sue the league, and I'm telling you, the NBA is not going to want to go through that. They're not going to want to go through that. They already lost a lot of money as it is. They're not going to want to go through that. So that's that. So I just think, again, that the sports bubble, these guys are being used as lab rats, and the government, again, is trying to. They're hoping that sports can be able to continue, so that they'll be the front lines to take the credit and say we were the ones that were in their ear to say, let's experiment these NBA players, these NHL players, these WNBA players, these NFL players. Like I said, the NFL is the only thing that looks like it's starting on time. I told you about the cases of college football. So yeah, when you consider everything, And this is why I went back and said, like, why are they doing a second bubble? If everything is positively clear, if there's supposed to be no setbacks, why are you trying to do a second bubble? That just tells me that the NBA really has no clear plan. They have no clear plan. So at the end of the day, they need to just shut this down for a moment, push this thing back a couple of months. The next season that supposedly is supposed to start December 1st, because that would be a quick turnaround for these players after they battle in the NBA playoffs with the draft and free agency coming up. Push that back to like January or February. Give these players time to rest so that you could put the best product on the floor. Not put these guys in a vulnerable position and then you're going to try to come up with an excuse. There's no excuses because we see everything. It makes no damn sense to do that. If you really care about your players, you wouldn't do this to them. And if the players really cared, as Richy mentioned way earlier, they would have spoke out on this. But again, the higher powers are telling us younger ones, if you talk, you're going to get called out by the media. And behind closed doors, you're going to get called out by the higher ups. That's why they're not saying nothing. That's why they can't really talk. And I commend Kyrie for doing what he did. Because at the very least, again, he was speaking for those and he was doing his job. No matter what people think about him and stuff like that. He was doing his job. And at least they had a voice. But imagine if they had no voice. They would have came up with an excuse if these players end up getting sick. And do you think that's fair to them and that's fair to their families? No. So this sports bubble, it's a no on. It's just a no on that because, like I said, at the end of the day, I told you this is all about. We've been saying it, man. It's all about money. It's all about money. If these guys really cared about their players, they would not put them through this. But they're having them put through this, saying they've got a choice. Why do you think the media is so quickly to rip some of these guys apart when they're making the right decisions, not only themselves but their families? When the media themselves has said it's a money thing. Stephen A has come out and said it's about money. Kendrick Perkins indirectly said it's about money. It's all about money for these guys. They would sell their soul that bad just for the almighty dollar at the expense of a player, even though they say they're quote unquote cool with their boy. So they and I said that if you really care, you guys should go and be an experiment with those guys. But we know you're not gonna. So this sports bubble thing is just a whole bad idea. Just wait. If you really want to start your season, push back next season a couple of months and start the new season. Start this one in September or October, and see where you go from there. But that's pretty much my final take.
All right, Jacob, you got the double back comment on this before we close out?
Yeah, I absolutely, agree, with what Rich and, Lewis said, about the, players being lap rats, because, to keep it real, if you compare if you compare these players to the average human being, they're in way better shape than us, So if even I want to piggyback what you said before. You said that a lot of these players, they looked as entertainers, and a lot of them are celebrities, right? But at the end of the day, they're human beings, and the media, they program particularly us, the mass, to worship these players. Why do we call them celebrities? Like if you really look at the etymology of that word, it means to celebrate somebody. I can admire, your craft and what you do, but a lot of the times, particularly the average fan, the casual fan, they look at these players as like fucking aliens. Like they look at them as like some aliens from a different galaxy. They worship them, and I think that's not a good way to look at it. And I just think that when the fans say that, those type of people, those patriotic people that say, I need to watch me some Monday Night Football. I need to have me some basketball. I need to watch these players play. Like, those guys that have, like, those 50-year-old men that have those big fat bellies and they're drinking and they're sitting on the couch every Friday, Saturday night. Stephen A. Smith reminds me of one of those, as well as Chris Prasad. You have these 50-year-old men, not men, males, that, like, go hard at these 20-year-old men. They go hard at these players. Like you have these 50-year-old guys, they just seem angry all the time. Like they want to control what these players do. Like Stephen A. Like this guy, like he's, oh my God, like he rides KD, by the same time he criticizes him. Like whenever you should see when he's around KD. This guy, man, he turns into like he's so like feminine. He's so like he turns into like he kisses Katie's ass right in front of him. He'll smile in his face like what Charles Barkley would do when he's around Draymond. But then when behind closed doors or when he's on TV, like he's the biggest jerk in the world. You know, just a few years ago, I remember. So this was during when Katie was in Oklahoma, and he was basically saying like those rumors that he was going to go to Golden State. And one of the reporters asked Katie that Stephen A. said something about him, and he said, "I don't talk to Stephen A. My family doesn't talk to him." And Stephen A. got on TV and said, "This is a fight that you don't want to go with me." And he threatened the man on TV. Remember that? So like this guy has a history of talking shit about players, but then when it's time for him to meet up with them, he has this big smile, he's fake and all that. Like that's why I think like he's like one of the worst like as far as like Nick Wright. I think Stephen A. Smith is worse because he plays both sides, you know. And I remember like 2 weeks ago when I think there was like a question that he said, "What do you think of players?" I think it was like a coalition coming together. He's like, "I am pissed off," you know, because he's mad because ESPN, they make a lot of money when the NBA, when the season is going on. So they need these players to come back. So that's why when I see a lot of these media outlets, particularly a lot of these beat writers, you know, talk about the sports and they say, "Oh, the season needs to resume." Why would I want to listen to them? They have their preconceived biasness that they have. They have their agenda. So that's one thing. That's what I wanted to say, you know, about that.
Yeah, you went in, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's close it out, brother. Let's close this thing out. Look like Lewis wanted to say something real quick. Go ahead, Lewis.
To answer your question, Jacob, here's the reason why Stephen A. gets to attack Kevin Durant and then gets to act all like a prissy in a tutu and kiss his ass. You know why? Because of the platform he's on. Without that platform, that dude is absolutely nothing. It's the same with Kendrick Perkins. Why do you think they go so hard on these players? And then they'll come back and say, "Oh, these guys are my boys." And the thing is, he's biased. It's because of the platform they're on. You take away the money, you take on their platform, they're pretty much talking for free. And you know they don't come at a cheap price. That's why they're talking. That's why they talk. If it wasn't for that, would we be hearing about these guys on TV? Nah.
Yep. It's true. That's true, man. You guys are hitting on the thumb and the needle. You know, when you got a panel with Jacob and Lewis backing it up like that, man, you just kind of have to sit back and watch and do what you got to do. And then Richy Rich sprinkling his jewels right in between, man. So, yeah, let's close it out, man. We're going to start it off with Jacob Lonewolf, man. Let's close this thing out, brother.
Yeah, I think this was a great live stream. You know, we all came together for this one. Particularly during times like this, you know, it's very hard for a lot of people. And, you know, I just think that we're going to have to get used to this kind of life, you know. It seems like, you know, if you've ever watched The Matrix, like, it just seems like we're living in it right now. Like, it just seems like this was bound to happen, you know, and it's just weird living through these times, you know. And people are talking about opening up the economy and the world up again, but you know, if you just look throughout history, I really don't see things coming back normal till probably like June of 2021 or maybe 22. Like, I'm not saying like next year. I think next year is going to be a little easier than this one, but just looking throughout history, I think that things are not going to get normal until like probably 2022. That's just my prediction. I'm just predicting that's going to happen. So I'm in no rush to see these players play because I have empathy, you know, because you have to put yourselves in their shoes, you know. Stop looking at, I think a lot of people, they look at it from their perspective, but it's not even their perspective. It's manufactured. It's the manufactured. The mainstream media have manufactured their perception. So a lot of the times when fans get angry, it's not that they get angry. It's just that we live in a world where everything's instant gratification. We want sports. We want everything right now. You know, information zooms at the speed of light. You know, we're constantly getting new information. You know, so I think a lot of people, you know, they just don't have patience. They're very impatient. you know. And
Mm-hmm.
in order to have power, you need to learn how to be patient. So, with me, I like to see things when everything's at full strength. When everything's backed and everything's okay. So then once we get back to normal, we don't have to go to a lockdown. And I think during times like this is very important for the 2020 decade is going to be a very crucial decade. And I
Yep.
think me living here in Melbourne, like I said it before, like particularly I feel bad for those people that live in those high-rise buildings, like those apartment complexes, those public houses, because they're trapped. They can't leave. The police are just everywhere, particularly, here in the CBD, like the surrounding the fucking building. So that just lets me know that in this decade, we need to be self-sufficient. We need to, do for ourselves, practice group economics, because, as you can see with the governments, they, if you give them power, they'll shut down everything. So I think now in this decade, it's very important for us to be self-sufficient and to know what goes on in society and just study it and, make our own observations and basically, build for ourselves so, we can be self-sufficient and not dependent on big daddy government. So that's my thing.
All right, Lewis, close us out, brother.
All right, man. Once again, he knows the sport, man. Thank you guys for having me. Shout out to Richy Rich and Jacob Lonewolf. I thought we covered some really good topics. Everybody went in and just gave out some great points. As he knows is always done, man. We continue to bring that heat and fire. And just to quote Tom Ross himself, man, separating the weak from the strong. And just appreciate you guys having me. And good to see you again, Richy Rich and Jacob. It was just great talking with you. And as always, he knows, appreciate you always extending that hand and invite me whenever you get the opportunity to. And like I said, salute to the chat. Salute to you guys. Continue to be safe. And again, I know we're practicing the social distancing, but to people out there, man, continue to practice the social distancing and just try to really educate yourself on this, man, because it's like, again, it's like, we're desperate to want to get the things that we want, but it's like, again, we have to understand the things that we need, and it's especially things that we need to hear. And if we don't do that, then we're still going to continue to live crazy, and our minds are going to be messed up. So we got to make sure that we do the things that we do to keep our minds fresh, and not let this thing to get, because like Jacob said, this is arguably going to be the new way of life. And as much as it sucks to be this way, this is something that we have to continue. We're going to have to live and get adjusted to. And to be honest with you, Jacob, I mean, maybe from a sports sense, probably things will probably get back to normal, even though there's going to be no fans, because that's still going to be the thing that, people are going to have to get used to. I think there's something that Adam Silver's also going to have to reconsider is how the fans treat the players when when fans are allowed back in the state, or when fans are allowed back in arenas, and I'm saying in all sports, and pretty much what's being said. And because at the end of the day, man, you may be paying your money to see those guys entertain you, but just like you, they're human beings too. So like some of the things that I've seen from the NBA, some of the racist things that fans have said, like Adam Silver has another problem on his hands too, and that's dealing the racism from the fan base to his entertainers, which is all the players, as Jacob talked about. So, and I know that the media likes to play both sides out of their mouths and always like to play both sides. Certain people, like, Jacob talked about, with Stephen A as an example, but, this quote unquote normalcy, I don't think we're ever really going to be normal. But in terms of like in sports, in a sense, if it does get back into, into normalcy, a lot of these sports venues are going to have to address that too. And to be honest with you, this is something that nobody's talking about. And I'll close it out on this, but I mean, people forget about the NCAA and the money that they make off of these players. And if I'm a player, I'm actually really considering to really stick it to these guys, getting the because they make money off of you guys with television ratings, and when they put these games on national coverage, and how the coaches get paid, but you guys don't in terms of college athletes. First of all, they need to have a strong support system so that they're able to invest their money and not waste it right away. That's what a lot of young players do. That's number one. Number two, if they were to train themselves overseas and pretty much get the proper development, those guys would be more NBA ready. And as long as they have the right development scouts, trust me, that will stick it to the this to me, in a way, is actually going to show an independence that these organizations are not going to be able to deal with, to the point that they're going to, as you always like to say, he knows the sport, bend the F&E. That's what they're going to have to do if these players really start to pay attention and to see what's going on. Because Quavo said it, man. Remember Amigos? He said, modern day slavery, we're just paying for the dollar. You're just getting paid for it. That's the difference. It's modern day slavery. The difference is you're getting paid for it. These guys are really smart. You guys could be your own cash cow, where you don't have to listen to, where you get the owners start bending the knee for you. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Damn, Richy Rich, close us out, man.
Once again, thank you, He Knows Sports, for having me on the platform. Shouts out to Jacob Lonewolf, Lewis. Always great to share the platform with you insightful brothers, man. Just to add on, to what you guys were saying, this is the new normal for now, man. This is going to be the new normal for now, and we just all have to get to it, man, and get used to it, and try to endure as best as we can, because things aren't going to get better, for a while. Even when they come out with this vaccine or whatever this antidote is, we don't know if it's going to, start improving things right away, or if it's the improvements is going to be at a stalemate. So we just have to hope for the best, man, and see what the next year brings in. But until now, we just have to be patient, man. We just have to be optimistic and keep ourselves safe as possible. Practice the social distancing, have the mask on when we're out. Like you said, man, sports, they're not important as right now. It's not an imperative thing right now. But each players, man, that are about to play, man, these guys are human as well. They have families, man, and they shouldn't be looked as higher than life figures, or people, aliens, as Jacob Longworth mentioned earlier. They're just normal human beings, man, and these guys get sick. These guys can die as well. So let's care about these people as well, man, that are putting their lives on the line to participate in these sports, but all for the money. Let's not look at these guys like they're just people that are out there to entertain us, man. I mean, hopefully, man, they can figure out a way to get through these sports, get through their whenever their sports come back, NBA, football, whoever has a lead about to come up. Hopefully, these guys can get through it with no one having any serious ill effects, man. But we can only hope for the best, man, because these guys really are out there taking serious risks with their lives, their healths, and that really sports are not important, man. But we all know why they're doing this, and some of these guys have to do it. But let's focus, man, on trying to get through this virus, trying to get through all the other situations that we're going through with the economy, with the Black Lives Matters, and let's try to hope that 2022 is a better year, man. 2021 is a better year for us. I'm saying 2022. Way up. 2021. Let's hope that year is a much better year for us, man.
Well, thank you, guys.
I'm signing off.
Yeah, thank you, guys, man.
I'm done.
Everyone that showed up and showed out, Jacob Lonewolf, Lewis Sports Network, Richy Rich. You guys make sure y'all check out both Jacob Lonewolf and Lewis Sport Network's channel. You know what I'm saying? Lewis Sports Network, that brother right there has a lot of deep, rich, material when it comes to sports. He's an NBA encyclopedia. You guys saw that, and having this star-studded panel, there was no need for He Knows to say as much as He Knows needed to say, because as you guys can see, these guys can hold their own and they can do their own thing. and the information that they already rendered to you guys, it would have just been redundant what He Knows the Sport would have said thereafter. So they held their own. They covered all of the topics and they did their thing. But make sure you guys go and subscribe to Lewis Sports Network's channel. You guys go and subscribe to Jacob Lonewolf's channel, finding yourself in this big world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these brothers right here, they're deep, you know, they're impactful. And then you got two guys that kind of have a similar style in how that they come, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the way they present sports and the way that they like to break things down in a detail-oriented fashion. And you put the both of them together, man, I mean, between the two of them, boy, they can go for years, light years, you know what I'm saying? So got to give hats off to Jacob Lonewolf, got to give hats off to Lewis Sports Network, Richy Rich. You know, as always, you always come in between and drop that Lupe fiasco on them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that don't know about Lupe, that's that dude right there, because Lupe will rap a Naruto on you. Lupe will rap the streets on you. Lupe will turn around and rap anything on you guys and throw you guys off. And that's the thing. Richy Rich reminds me of a Lupe fiasco. Very, very much not understood, man, but always dropping them gems from so many different levels that beefs up and amps up, you know what I'm saying, the panel. I'm pretty sure Richy Rich likes that reference. And if that's one of his favorite rappers, then it would be a compliment extraordinaire for him. But that's what he reminds me of when I think of somebody in between the fillers dropping those comments, because it just gives these guys that are already an NBA encyclopedia more information for them to filter back. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Those that are new to the platform, hit the subscribe, comment, like, and share. You know what I'm saying? Always and every day, He Knows the Sport's going to continue to bring you guys that heat and that fire, and continue to keep the foot on the what on the next. We're going to continue to keep the foot on the what on the next. Go to www.HeKnowsBasketball.com. Make sure you guys sign up. There's a sign up button on the upper right-hand side. Register to the website so that way you guys can get the latest and greatest from He Knows the Sport. And then also hit the shop page. You know what I'm saying? Check out the merchandise. More and more is going to be coming out. Jacob Lonewolf, as you guys see, he copped him, you know what I'm saying, some gear. He got some stuff that's going to be coming more to him. And I'm hoping that everyone could go to the website, look at the rich information that's there, and more information is going to be filtering through the website so that you guys can have what you need. Because, again, like Lewis said, and it was a conversation he mentioned earlier in the live that went over a lot of people's heads, but not the three-dimensional thinkers' heads. So I'm going to rewind that so people can get it. Sports is a great thing, but without sports, a lot of people are lost. And this is the time during this COVID-19 time for people to find themselves, build yourselves up, build your own brand, do what you guys have been wanting to do all of this time. Don't waste any time. Become confident men and women with confidence, purpose, and an abundance mindset, man. Get on your purpose, man. Focus on your purpose, lock in, do what you guys have to do, and take yourself to the next level. I'm only a phone call away, man, because I'm always on my purpose. Anyone that knows me knows I'm always locked in. I'm always geared in. So anyone that needs wisdom, anyone that needs knowledge, anyone that needs understanding on how to drive themselves and push themselves to their purpose, I'm a phone call away. I'm an email away. Just hit me up, and I'm there to be a walking, you know what I'm saying, encyclopedia like these guys, no pun intended, to give you guys direction on how to get yourself to that next level and that next gear, because that's what it's about. So when Lewis brought that up earlier, that was the most powerful thing he said. And he said a whole bunch of powerful things. He always says powerful things. But that one right there was the one that was the most powerful to me, because we have to build ourselves up when nobody else can build ourselves up. And this is the time. And if you guys don't come out of this COVID better and you coming out of it the same, shame on you. I'm going to say it again. If you come out of this COVID not better, and you came out the same with all of this time that you had on your hand, shame on you. You got to come out better. You got to come out stronger. You got to be able to sharpen your swords, man, because all of us in this life, we have a purpose. We need to fulfill our purpose, find it, and get behind it, and basically push it to the limit, whatever that is. If it's content creation, do the damn thing. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if 0 people are listening or if 100 people are listening. Bottom line is, when if something is meant for you, no one can stop it, man. You're going to be successful regardless. And that's what people need to understand. Success requires a lot of failures, and it requires a lot of experimentation, a lot of trials and errors before you figure it out. So that's my impartation to you guys. That's my knowledge to you guys. That's my long-windedness to you guys to see you guys do better. So when I sit from afar and I see what a Lewis is doing, I'm happy. When I sit from afar and I see a Jacob Lonewolf doing what he's doing, I'm happy. See, what people got to understand is I'm a lot different than other people. I like to see what people are doing from afar because people, to me, have their own thing, and I like to see people stand on their own and doing their own. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in this thing of, we're going to push each other on a training wheel. We're going to assist each other all the way through. No, we're going to help each other out. We're going to collab. We're going to get on each other's lives from here and there. But at the end of the day, that person has to do their independent thing, and I have to do my independent thing, and you guys have to do your independent thing. Because at the end of the day, you're going to leave this earth by your damn self. You came into this thing by yourself. You're going to leave it by yourself. So you got to make sure you leave a lasting legacy. That's what it's about, man, whatever that looks like. So when you guys are doing lives like this and you guys are putting out content creation, it is out there in the public. People see you guys. I keep telling you guys, you have to look at yourselves as public figures. Once you're out each and every single time, this live stream that we're on right now, we are public figures. We may not be ESPN, we may not be this, we may not be that, but you're putting your brand, you're putting your name out there, you're putting everything out there. So always put your best foot forward. Always give them that heat and that fire. Always give them that NBA encyclopedia. Always give them that Lone Wolf style. Always give them that Lupe Fiasco. Always in the chat. You guys too. Believe it or not, people know. When they see the same people in the chat over and over again, after a while, you guys become chat warriors and you are chat celebrities too. So as a public figure, always conduct yourself as such. Always look at every situation that is basically like I'm doing this all over again, and always put your best foot forward, man. And as long as you guys realize that, and then I leave it with this quote, the sprint is saturated, but the marathon is not, meaning when you're passionate about something, it's a marathon to you. You don't care. You're just going to keep doing it, and it's going to be endless to you. This is when you know you're passionate about something and you love it. I'm passionate about what I do. Jacob Lone was passionate about what he does. Lewis is passionate about what he does. Richy Rich is passionate about what he does. And I'm sure those that are in the chat have what they're passionate about. So get behind your passion, get behind your purpose, and push forward. This is my impartation to you guys. This is what I want to see you guys are doing. This is how I want to see you guys get out of this COVID stronger, better, and with a sharper sword that you guys can be able to draw at any given moment. And remember, as the mainstream media is playing chess, always play super chess, folks. That's how you got to look at it. So make sure y'all donate to the platform, man. You know what I'm saying? The Cash App banner is up. Super Chat is accepted as well. We appreciate you guys. You guys have a great Hump Day Wednesday. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great fun. The panel tore this thing up, man. This was a great live stream. You guys brought the topics and you guys explained to everyone why NBA players, basketball players, and this whole COVID situation is what it is. You guys enjoy yourselves. Have a great Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.